So for the past month, well, 6 weeks really, I've been in strict ketosis. In this video I'll be covering my personal experience and what some of the science says, touching upon key topics such as weight loss, sports performance, general supplementation and cost and sustainability. I'll be leaving my main takeaways at the end of the video, so stick around to see how I fared throughout this month.
So, what is keto? Keto, by definition, is essentially a diet whereby you adhere to high fat, moderate protein, and extremely low carbohydrates, with an optimal ratio of 75% fat, 20% protein, and 5% carbs, aiming for generally below 50 grams of carbs per day. Through doing this, glycogen stores become depleted and your body begins to burn fat as its preferred source of energy in the form of ketones. Note that the body still utilizes glucose and meets its own blood glucose needs through gluconeogenesis, which is essentially the conversion of dietary fats and protein into glucose. Okay, let's first dive into one of the biggest claims, which is weight loss. I'd first like to preface by saying this was not one of my goals, and here's why. Many people look to ketosis as a magic fat loss diet. This is far from the case. Just because your body is running on ketones, so essentially burning fat as its main source of energy, does not replace caloric restriction and thus a caloric deficit. With that said, many people feel more satiated on a ketogenic diet, which may help to adhere to lower caloric intake, such as one of my clients who's lost 20 pounds in a matter of months because being in ketosis has allowed him to better adhere to caloric restriction. However, you will not see any extra benefit when it comes to weight loss if overall protein and calories are equated for. Whilst that is the case, you may see initial weight loss in the form of water weight. When your body stores glycogen, it needs water to be stored. Therefore, lowering dietary carbs, the more your glycogen stores become depleted, which by extension means the less your body will hold on to water, leading to a sudden drop in weight but no difference in overall body fat. Taking from my personal experience, following the initial drop in water weight, I saw no changes in weight as this was not my aim. Now, this loss in water brings us on a perfect segue to discuss the next topic. With the loss in water weight comes a loss in sodium and electrolytes in general as they are flushed out with water. This is where most people will experience the so-called keto flu. This is due to an electrolyte imbalance causing them to feel sluggish. I did experience this to an extent. General tiredness overwhelmed me for the first week or so whilst becoming fat adapted, along with some terrible calf cramps in the middle of the night, which are far from ideal. As someone who consumes a lot of sodium in general, I've even got a salt grinder under my bed for when I'm eating while working. I still felt somewhat off. Note that I also consume a lot of dietary potassium and magnesium through cacao powder, pecans and spinach. However, it was not until I purchased electrolyte powder did I start feeling great. Electrolytes are extremely important for so many processes inside the body and should not be understated. They play a big role in energy, neurotransmission and action potentials within the body. They are very important when it comes to muscular contraction and therefore performance. This is why on keto it is important to supplement with electrolytes and to eat a diet rich in electrolytes. This way you can avoid any negative side effects associated with low electrolytes. Moving on to our next topic, which is a highly debated subject within the community, and that is of course sports performance. Early on, when I was still adapting to keto, I noticed, especially on court, I was lacking in extra gear. I couldn't sprint as fast, I wasn't making as many balls as I usually would. I also felt this in the gym, in terms of strength was not quite where it should be, feeling overall drained early on. The effect can be seen in a study by the Sports Journal of Medicine, which I will link below, where they compared strength levels of those on high carbs versus keto over a 4-day period. The results overall showed a 6% decrease in peak strength. Naturally, due to the short length of the study, the test subjects would not be fully keto adapted, explaining away the decreases in strength performance. However, after a few weeks in, I started to feel great, especially following the increase in sodium within my diet. To preface, gyms had just reopened as I first went into ketosis, therefore my strength level increases should be taken with a grain of salt. As my central nervous system became readapted to the training stimulus, that in conjunction with muscle memory caused a sharp increase in my strength levels. However, it did not stop there. Before lockdown, I was sitting around 200 pounds when I hit all my previous strength benchmarks. This was 3 months after returning from Asia. In the first 5 to 6 weeks being back in the gym, whilst being 20 pounds lighter, I was able to surpass all my previous strength levels in that short time frame whilst being in ketosis. That's not to say I wouldn't have achieved the same results or better on a higher carb diet. I just thought that was something interesting worth noting. I personally did not notice any adverse effects in athletic performance on court, which is considered to be one of the large drawbacks of ketosis. Again, this is all anecdotal and from my personal experience. Now, coming on to the main reason I wanted to dive into ketosis was longevity and improvements in cognitive function. In the past, I've done 72-hour fasts in the name of longevity, but the mental focus whilst in a deep state of ketosis meant I could get more work done on these fasts. I'd also been running a low carb diet on and off since Asia and wanted to dive even further to see if my focus improved even more so. I'll first preface by saying high carb meals lead me to crashing and feeling sluggish. I was in a cycle of eating and napping. When I tried to work and focus, I was met with a distinct lack of mental clarity, which once I became adapted to ketosis, that went away. I remember one day in particular where I'd never felt better, no crashes, and much improved mental clarity. Combining this with intermittent fasting helped me in terms of productivity. With that said, there is not enough scientific evidence to back up these claims. Anecdotally speaking, I definitely saw an improvement. Coming on to the final factor, which is cost and sustainability, and do I recommend keto? As someone who chose cleaner keto, choosing to go for healthy fat sources, it turned out to be relatively expensive. Just to give you an idea, I spent over £100 on nuts alone. As a ballpark figure, I'd say I was spending close to £100 a week, eating around 2,300 calories per day. I'm sure there are ways you could spend a lot less. I just wanted to get my fat and protein from the best sources. If I were to be running on fats, I wanted to be running off of all the most optimal sources. This included grass-fed beef, pecans, grass-fed butter, extra virgin olive oil, and MCT oil. Now, sustainability is one of the biggest issues when it comes to ketosis. Sticking to extremely low carbs is often not feasible for a lot of people, especially if you enjoy alcohol. I do recommend the diet for people who are looking to improve blood pressure, reduce inflammation, and there are many other benefits when it comes to longevity. However, the trade-off for most people is it's pretty unsustainable. That's why I personally will not be staying on a ketogenic diet. I'll be choosing to opt back to a low-carb, more micronutrient-dense diet. One thing I didn't enjoy whilst in ketosis was having to limit blueberry consumption and vegetable consumption in general. Now, if you are someone who's always tired when they're having high-carb meals, I would definitely recommend giving it a shot for a few months, seeing if it's for you. But for most people, it's generally unsustainable. Thanks for watching, guys. I plan on reviewing more diets in future. I'm looking to the vertical diet as my next diet challenge video. Let me know if you'd be interested down in the comments. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. New videos coming every Monday from here on. Catch you in the next one.